Welcome back to the Pit Lane, KTXT's one and only Formula One radio show. It's been a crazy few days for us. Before we jump into the show, obviously we need to go through social medias. You can find us online at the Pit Lane RS, the Pit Lane Radio Show. If you just put in the Pit Lane Radio Show, whatever, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to or interact with anything, we're probably there. We're not on Facebook. We're not on LinkedIn. So don't go looking for us there. We're also not on Apple Music yet. I'm trying to figure it out how to put the show onto Apple Music, but we will see. But I apologize. I made you a promise last Tuesday that we would have an online-only episode before the race. That obviously did not end up happening. Mostly my fault. I'm horrible with scheduling.
That's all right. We were both busy.
But I will no longer make promises, but I will say we're going to hope to have the first one this week if we can figure it out.
We'll do our best.
We'll try our best. But there will be online episodes coming out. It is going to happen. I promise you. I'm not lying to you. But yeah, that is where you can find us.
That's just a busy semester. I mean, we got stuff going on.
A little bit. And coming to the end of the semester, anyway, everyone knows how finals weeks is and all that stuff. Let's not mull over that. We're not here for that. We're not here for education talk. We're not here for school. We're here because cars go fast around racetrack. And I like when my 20 drivers do good. So we had the Bahrain Grand Prix this last weekend. Overall, before we talk about what happened in the race, how would you rate the race out of 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.
A 3?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but there was some good stuff.
Okay.
So I put it not a 50%, but like
it's a solid, just above average.
Just
kind
above
of race.
average.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. I am a tad biased. Favorite driver did win, so that always helps with the race. You're like, oh, okay, it's a pretty good race. I think I'm going to give it a 4.
4?
Though. 4.5. I think, we won't talk about it too much, but at one point in the race, there was like every kind of tire for slicks was being used at once. You saw front runners using hards and mediums, and then like a person in fourth using softs, and then a bunch of mediums, hard, softs again. Like it created a disparity in strategy where it wasn't everybody pitting at the same time, coming out same order. It was like, okay, Max is very fast here. He's not fast anymore. Pits out for tires. Everyone's pitting around him for different things. Okay, strategy involved. It was pretty fun. Like it made for a rotating race.
Yeah, the grid kind of moving around.
I think that really helped with it for me, but there were some pretty notable shifts from qualifying to race. Obviously, I spoiled it a little bit. Oscar Piastri, he qualified P1, dominant qualifying session, last lap he can possibly do, banged out an incredible lap. Everyone was like, damn, okay. Oscar's he's not messing around, he's not screwing around anymore, he's locking in.
Yeah, he's ready for this champion.
Yeah, because last year the main issue people found with him was his race pace is solid, his racecraft is solid, he's a critical thinker, he's really good in races, but his pace over one lap in qualifying was never on par with Lando. He would qualify P2, P3, top 5, but he struggled to have like consistently good laps in those.
Yeah.
We have to make up for that in the race. That is no longer the case in my mind.
Yeah, he's been very consistent this whole year.
Yeah. He qualified P1. He qualified P1 in China. Won China. Dominant win there. Qualified P1 here. Won here. Dominant win. He just unlocked this new level to his game. And, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit. He's only 4 points behind Lando in the driver standings after this race. Like, he's locked in and was like, okay, you don't think I can be number one driver? Watch this. So I think to me that was a really big part of this race was, okay, we actually have a really good driver's championship, hopefully. Whether it is between him and Lando, and it's I don't want to get my facts wrong, but Brosades, that's what people online call it apparently.
Brosades.
Yeah, like that kind of year. It's like, okay, both Mercedes drivers, Lewis Hamilton, I already forgot his name.
Nico.
Why am I forgetting his name? He's a champion. When Lewis Hamilton and Nico were fighting for championship, it came down to the last couple races, and he won. He retired after. I don't think Oscar, if he wins, will retire, but I hope we get that kind of year
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
where the teammates are really good.
Maybe Lando will retire.
Maybe if he loses. But I think that was a pretty important part of this race. Lando Norris, on the other hand, other McLaren driver, qualified P6. Was really off. You don't know what was happening with him. There is some rumors online that Oscar purposely slowed down to hold him up. I think that's just Lando fans trying to find a reason that he wasn't as fast in qualifying.
Who knows?
Who knows? But he finished P3, and that was with a time penalty.
Yeah, and it was, what was it? He started P6. Yeah, on the first lap.
Yeah, first lap he was at least P4, if I remember correctly, P3.
Yeah, it was a crazy first lap.
Yeah, like he did a fantastic job. He's a good driver. I'm not discrediting him. And so he finished P3 with a time penalty. He had a false start. It was funny with that when Max and him lined up, because Max was P7 and Lando was P6. Max noticing that he was a little bit over the white lines, and before the race started, radioing into Red Bull, being like, "Hey, Lando's over the lines," to like immediately report him to the stewards.
Gotta love it.
Love it. I love that stuff. I know it's so petty. I love pettiness in my sports because it means the rivalries will actually heat up, and it's not just buddy
Yeah.
up until the race. It's like, oh, we're in the race hasn't started yet. Hey, this guy's already broken the rules. Fix it. Give me any advantage I can get.
Hey, it's valid.
It's valid. It worked. I mean, Lando got the penalty. He had to go in for a 5-second stop. Mechanics and couldn't touch his car for 5 seconds, and then he could change his tires. But yeah, he finished P3.
It ended up not really affecting his race too bad.
Not really. I think the safety car helped.
Yeah.
I know the safety car was after it, but even if it happened, it closed the gap for everybody. He could overtake if he need be. He's in the fastest car on the grid, no matter what he says to the media. Kimi Antonelli, he qualified P5. Not a good qualifying to race he had. He finished P11 outside the points.
Not great.
No. Simple note, just tough race. He just struggled. That happens.
You can't win them all.
No.
Unless you're Verstappen.
Unless you're Max Verstappen, and then you can definitely try to win them all. But he's a rookie. I think everyone's kind of forgotten he's a rookie because he's been so consistent. You just have a bad race.
Yeah, I think even the announcers were saying that during the race. We're like, I kind of forgot he's a rookie.
Yeah. So, that's okay. Carlos Sainz, he started P8, which was pretty good for the Williams. It would have been his best finish if he stayed P8 in the Williams. And then he had to retire from the race after contact with Yuki Tsunoda. I can't remember on what lap, but they were fighting side by side, really good battle. Just drove into each other on accident.
Yeah, it was kind of like mid-race.
Yeah. It was after the first round of pit stops in between safety car. It's just unfortunate, not his fault, but that was a big drop off from P8 to not at all having a car. And then Oli Behrman, P20.
Yeah.
I'll be for real. I don't know why it was P20. Was it just pace related?
I'd have to go. I didn't really watch qualifying, so I'd have to go back and look why he got 20th. But I don't really see it being like a him issue in this scenario.
Yeah. I mean, he set a time, so I think he was just the slowest. But he didn't stay P20 in the race. He actually finished P10 in the points, which is, a whole 10 places. That's huge.
That is a stellar race.
Especially for cars ahead of him being a little faster, or at least with more experience ahead of him, going P20 to P10. Pretty wild.
That meant, what, double points for Haas?
I think so. Is that how that happened?
Let's see. Where's Ocon? Yeah, he got...
Yeah, double points for Haas. That's pretty good. Good weekend for them.
Yeah, they got to hope for what they can get.
Yeah, at this point, you just pray about it. But kind of a good segue. So we started this trend, not a trend. We started this segment of the show where we do our driver of the day and our back marker of the day. So the driver of the day, as voted by fans in Formula One in the race, was Lewis Hamilton. To us, it doesn't make much sense. He qualified P8 and finished P5. That's not that crazy.
Yeah, not really much going on.
You're a 7-time world champion in a Ferrari. I don't think I should be rewarding you for going up a couple places. But in our superior judgment, who was your driver of the day, Hunter?
I went ahead and selected Oliver Behrman. Mainly because he did the P20 to P10.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And then, outperforming, like... Goodness, this stupid website. Nico Hulkenberg, he's got... Oh, wait, this is qualifying. What am I doing? Oops.
Yeah, him finishing in P10, he finished ahead of a Mercedes.
Yes.
He finished ahead of a Williams with Alex Albon, RB, and Alpine. Both Aston Martins. Both RBs.
Yeah, the most impressive part there is in, outperforming Kimi Antonelli because he would have had to pass him.
Yep.
So that... And Kimi was pulling off some really good dive bombs during the race, so... it just really had to be a good day for Ollie.
Yeah, it was I apologize. It was a great day for Ollie. I did not vote Ollie. I completely agree. Fantastic. He probably was the strongest in terms of actual what happened on track. Yeah, he's the driver of the day.
Yeah.
I just truly think, and bias aside, the dominance that was shown today by Oscar not today, Sunday by Oscar was just crazy. I know it doesn't sound impressive. Okay, you qualified first and you finished first. That's not that crazy. He was 15 seconds ahead of second place after a safety car, which bunched everybody up in the last 10 laps. So
Very
he
impressive.
went from 15-second gap to under a second, back to 15 before the race even started. I think that itself is crazy. I mean, Max is doing that in the Red Bull 2 years ago, but that Red Bull is probably the best Formula One car we've seen ever in the sport. I mean, he won nearly every single race that year besides 2. I just think that his driving is, like I said, has improved so much, and I'm just crazily impressed by him.
I agree. I think, especially showing it to Lando that, hey, you're not as good as me.
Easily. Well, I know we're biased, but easily.
Well, maybe a little.
A little bit.
Well, let's see. Speaking of, good drivers of the day, how about your back marker of the day?
My back marker. So I really struggled to find a back marker, purely because those that finished in the lower half were already qualified there anyways, so it wasn't that big of a drop-off.
Right.
And okay, technically, Sainz had the biggest drop-off. He went from P8 to disqualified or retired. I wouldn't give him that award because it wasn't necessarily his fault. It was just a racing accident. It happens. Not entirely his fault. You put yourself out of the race.
Mm-hmm.
He was racing hard. And Hulkenberg, he got disqualified after the race. Again, don't necessarily think that is justification for it. Sometimes that's the team's fault. Had the car too low, whatever. He can't control that.
Right.
I chose Kimi Antonelli because it was, hey, you qualified P5. You very easily could have stayed in the points.
Or gone further.
Or gone further up, like you have done. But I know you're just outside the top 10, P11. That still, in a Mercedes, that should not be happening. I feel like that was probably the worst performance of the race.
That's definitely his worst performance this year. And, I think you're right in that, where he's just not performing how he should. I went ahead and chose somebody else who's not performing how they should.
Yeah.
Liam Lawson has just been so meh this year.
Yeah.
And I know he had a few place grid penalty, or maybe it was a time penalty, one of the two. But him finishing in 16th in any fashion is awful.
Yeah. Especially because we know that RB seat is actually good. It's not a bad seat. Otherwise, how did Yuki Tsunoda out-qualify him in a Red Bull multiple times? It's a good car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he should be qualifying or finishing the race better than he has, but he hasn't. So I'm not in disagreement with that. I think that's pretty solid reasoning.
No, I don't see why they're not. They should be getting, fairly consistent double points.
Yeah. Definitely a little. It's just been a bad year for Liam. I think we kind of. I don't know if I can speak for you. I think I guessed before the season started, Liam's good. I don't think he's good enough. He's so inconsistent. Yes, he had a bunch of races. He was the most qualified, quote-unquote, rookie being introduced in the 6. I just don't think he was good enough to maintain a level that Red Bull wants. And so far, I've been right. I mean, they dropped him after 2 races. And even in the supposed better car, like most of the fans online called it, I mean, you're getting P16s to 20s.
Yeah, I think he even like qualified 17th. Like,
yeah,
what is he doing?
Didn't even do great. So I mean, I'm in agreement. It's been a really bad year for him.
Yes.
But there has been a bit of a rumor around the other Red Bull seats. So, you brought this to my attention, or at least the article. Don't take anything we're about to say as this is happening. This is purely a rumor, and we're just reporting on it as the journalists we are.
Now, did you find out who released this rumor?
I did not. I remember seeing a rumor scrolling on Twitter, as you do. My doom scroll hour was permitted to me on the bathroom, so I chose to scroll. And I saw a article that was published that was Max Verstappen would race alongside anybody on the grid except one, George Russell.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. If you know the history between the two, long time, as in last season to this season, not rivalry, they just don't like each other. Big drama happened behind the scenes. I think you know more about it than I do.
I just pulled up a little article. Max Verstappen and George Russell were in qualifying during Qatar last year. And while they were in the stewards' room, they were talking about how apparently Max Verstappen was impeding George Russell. And when they went to the stewards' room, George Russell was just hammering that he needs this penalty, he needs this penalty, he needs this penalty. And I think it's a quote from Verstappen saying, "I've never seen someone trying to screw someone over that hard." So, and he said he lost a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. And it kind of stayed a little sour. In press conferences, they would take little snaps at each other during the race. They'd race each other harder than others. But apparently that's still ongoing into this season, because according to the rumor, according to this article title, Verstappen is tipped to definitely leave Red Bull after the Bahrain disaster. Not necessarily after Bahrain, but after his horrible race. Because I don't think we touched on it. Red Bull was horrible this race.
Yeah, they had really bad pit stops. They had
strategy was horrible.
Not good strategy, and I think they even changed the brakes up to before the race.
Yeah. So in Formula One, and then I think in most motorsports that are professional, if you go into pit, there's usually a light that'll signify, hey, wait a second, keep waiting, okay, go, green light, go. Pull out the pit box back onto the pit lane, get out back on track. It's usually for safe releases so you don't send your driver out into a car.
That's usually not cool.
Usually no one likes that when that happens. Don't do that. So usually there's a light that does it, and the light at Red Bull was broken. It was just flashing red or staying red, which usually means don't go. And so multiple times, even to Yuki and to Max twice, he just had to go and look and like figure it out. So that did not help. He was complaining all the time about, I have no tires, I have no brakes, this car is so bad. A bunch of expletives we can't say because Max has a sailor's mouth on him.
Yes, sir.
But there's a lot of chatter online about this year, if it stays like this, is the final straw for Max. It'll either be retirement from the sport, like he's talked about recently in the last couple of years, or, hey, I'm going to a different team.
I just don't... I mean, I could see him wanting to leave. You know, he likes... I think he owns a GT3 racing team. But I just don't see him wanting to leave off on 4 championships.
Yeah. I definitely think the hunger to become the best in terms of having 8. I mean, it can still happen. He can still win this year.
Yeah, could. Could being the very, very prominent word there.
Yeah. It definitely, I don't know. I think relationships are strained at Red Bull, I think, right now. I think everybody on the team realizes, hey, we're not as good as we have been if we want to keep the best driver around, we have to keep the car good. And the car's not been good recently over the last 2 years. Yes, he still won championship last year. He struggled. He didn't win a race for like 8 races, which is a long time.
That's not good.
That's not good. So apparently in the article that Hunter found, so if it's false, blame him and not me. Joking. I brought this up, so actually blame me because I'm the one that told him this. Apparently he's been linked heavily with Mercedes and Aston Martin, which obviously we know Adrian Newey is with Aston Martin from 26 and Honda. That is appealing, I guess.
I just, both of those kind of strike me weird.
Yeah.
I don't see why he would want to go to Aston Martin unless they're thinking something's going to change, because both of their drivers, Lance Stroll finishing 17th, Fernando finishing 15th, that's not appealing.
Yeah. I mean, a report also did come out, truthfully, today, that Adrian Newey at Aston Martin has not at all been looking at this year's Aston Martin.
Okay.
He's not even trying. He's fully focused on 26 new regulations car. That's his entire focus is on that car.
That makes sense.
So I think that tells us why Aston Martin's not as strong as they were, or like that this doesn't make sense. Adrian Newey is the GOAT when it comes to designing a car. This doesn't check out. It's because he's fully focused. So I think if any of this is true, and he's linked with a team, I think he would go with Aston Martin. I think you'd be stupid if Max Verstappen and his camp were like, hey, what you got? To not offer something.
Yeah.
I think because it is a case of nepotism at Aston Martin with Lance Stroll and Daddy Stroll being there, I don't know if they'll get rid of Stroll. I wish they would, because that would be the smartest choice. So
naturally.
I think, unfortunately, Aston Martin would kick out Fernando Alonso, which would suck.
That seems so bizarre to me.
Yeah. But reuniting Max Verstappen with Adrian Newey and Honda, and a car Adrian Newey is entirely focused on, he's not having to juggle 2 cars at once, is going to be a killer if that happens, which I don't think it will, but if.
Do you really think they would kick out? I mean, would Fernando just retire at that point?
I think so. I think they'd be like, hey, I don't think you're going to get somewhere else. Just retire. Go out on your own terms. Don't make us do this. That's how I would approach it. I feel like, what is it? Their team principal is Mike Crack.
Yep.
I think he's a smart enough guy.
I don't know. That just seems so weird.
Yeah.
Just kick out Lance Stroll.
Yes, everyone wants that. Don't kid me. I'm not kidding you. Everybody wants Lance Stroll gone from the sport. I don't think he has any true fans. I think the fans that people are fans of him are ironic, or they're deranged.
I mean, that's a good point, because he's sitting crazily. He's still in 10th in the championship. So,
no.
Yep.
Gosh, that's not going to last long. But just interesting rumors around right now.
That one's a good one.
If at all anything about it is true, it will be crazy, I guess. That might be bigger. No, that's not bigger than Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes. Nothing's bigger than that. That's the biggest news ever in Formula One. No.
Yeah, no. It's definitely not bigger than that.
It'd be big news if he's like, I'm going to Sauber for Audi. You're like, okay, that's pretty big. They're an unproven team. But him just reuniting with Honda and Adrian Newey would make more sense than Mercedes. I just think him and Toto Wolff would not agree.
Nope.
Or mesh well.
And then not with Russell either.
Gosh, no.
They definitely wouldn't kick Kimi out. That's going to be
too new. I don't think Mercedes are actually interested. I wouldn't be. You have 2 good drivers. Why would you kick out? To me, why would you kick out one?
I don't know, for Verstappen though.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be a very tough.
It would be a tough call. Yeah, I think it makes more sense that he's linked to Aston Martin if he is at all, because of previous connections. But until anything official is reported by anybody knowledgeable in the sport and not one website that I could find in one article that I saw on Twitter.
Right.
Probably not true, but it's fun to think about.
Very.
Very fun. But we will continue this conversation into the second half of the show. But for now, we're going to take a little break. Get up, stretch your legs, drink some water. Again, if you're listening to this later on Spotify, YouTube, you can just skip a couple seconds ahead. You don't want to hear me yap about the show. But we'll be right back at the pit lane. Don't go anywhere. All right, well, it's that time of the episode. I just want to say thank you guys so much again for supporting the episode and supporting the pit lane on this new digital journey that we're going on. It has been a tumultuous journey so far for us, trying to get quality down, trying to get his recordings out. So far, we've been pretty good on uploading the archival of the radio show episodes that happened on Tuesday. But we're struggling a little bit to get the online stuff really kicked off. But I promise you guys, I know I've said this episode, I've stopped promising, but I do promise you guys it will happen at some point, and it'll be really good content. It'll be highly stylized, more so compared to just this, maybe with some cameras and recordings like that. But those are coming. I can tell you that. They're coming. But I can't give you a time frame right now. We want to work things out so we can give you the best quality product we can here at the pit lane. So it's not just sloppy material. But I want to say thank you again for listening to this episode. Thank you for getting this far into the episode. It's about 25 minutes into it. I hope you guys continue enjoying the episode, continue supporting the pit lane. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Welcome back to the pit lane. I'm glad. I hope you've been able to stretch your legs, drink some water, enjoy yourself for the few minutes that we were gone. I know you missed us so much, but it's okay. We're back. Saudi Arabia is up next on the calendar for the third and final race of this triple header we've been on. I love when there's double headers, triple headers, because that means more Formula One and not 2-week breaks in between races.
So not fun.
But that will be happening after this weekend. We'll have this race and then have 2 weeks until the next race. But Saudi Arabia, how and where can I watch it? Well, on Friday, you'll have practice 1 and practice 2. Practice 1 will go from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on the 18th of April. So that's this Friday. And practice 2 will be the same day from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Pretty reasonable times for practice to be happening here. Saturday is practice 3. That is also from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on the 19th. And then qualifying is later that day from 12 to 1. So basically the same times, Friday, Saturday, but practice, qualifying. Then on Sunday, to most, is a perfect time for a race. It is 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. I mean, it's the middle of the day, you're not doing anything, eat lunch, watch it. I will unfortunately be finishing church and then going somewhere. I will leave the sanctuary, not on my phone, but I'll wait till I get in my car to start watching. Good idea. That's my plan. And if I have to play it from the start, a couple minutes late, that's fine.
That's fair.
My friends understand.
I'm sure there's going to be a safety car somewhere.
I'm sure.
It's Saudi.
Delayed start. Probably.
You think there'll be
something
rain?
will happen? No, I just think someone will be too bad and they'll crash on the formation lap.
Lance Stroll.
Probably. But that is the times for this weekend for the last of the triple headers in Saudi. Usually a decent race. It is very much a DRS train kind of race track. But always pretty good, decent races on it. So we're going to make an advanced prediction about who we think will qualify and finish where. But before we do that, we're going to talk about last year's race. Last year, Max Verstappen was still continuing his utter domination in terms of it was the beginning of the year. Nobody knew that Mercedes, Ferrari, or McLaren would actually do anything with this year. Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, Max Verstappen just won again. Perez just came second. This makes sense. So the top 10 finishing order was Max Verstappen in first. Sergio Perez came up behind him. Leclerc was last on the podium. Oscar Piastri finished in fourth, which at the time was pretty good. That was 2 races into the season. Mm-hmm. Fernando Alonso was still dragging his Aston Martin up there. He finished in P5. George Russell was the lead Mercedes in sixth place. Ollie Behrman, in one of his races for Ferrari last year, before getting the full-time seat at Haas, finished P7.
That's great.
That's pretty good. In front of Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in 8 and 9, respectively. And Nico Hulkenberg dragged his Haas up to P10. I didn't say anything else but Haas.
Dude, no, just the way... I didn't even think about it like that, but it was just the way you said it.
I'm struggling. I need to do some vocal warm-ups before I get on the mic, apparently. Hit the do-re-mi kind of stuff. Truth be told, I do think Oscar will just continue being Oscar and just qualify really well, finish really high.
Yeah, I think he'll do good. I don't know if he'll win. Max Verstappen has been very good at this track.
True.
I don't
That's
remember. I think it may have been 2021. I can't remember exactly. But he had a fantastic qualifying lap and then just slightly pushed it too hard and crashed.
Yeah.
That was a crazy lap.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's going to do really well. I think that we've been saying this for the last 3 weeks since Japan. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. Max Verstappen's Max Verstappen. He will drag that thing into the points, and if not, a podium or a win. He did in Suzuka. Yes, he qualified first. That lap was crazy to get him on the front row.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just continued that into the race. Wild.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. I think he'll qualify top 3, finish top 3, if not win it. He's just that good.
I could very easily see him winning this race. It's just going to be how hard can he push that car.
Yeah. I think it does suit his driving style a lot in terms of this track. I don't think Max is the biggest fan of the slow banking corners, or just the slow corners in general. If he needs a slow corner, it's like a hairpin turn. Get immediately back on the gas once your front tire's around that apex. He loves those. He does so good at those tracks. But it also is Max. He's just good at everything. Like, he can win any track. So I think, it'll be, my prediction, it'll be not necessarily Max and P1, maybe interchangeable, but Max top 2, Oscar Piastri top 2, and then I do think George Russell will continue being as good. He's been so consistent this year.
I think that's a good top 3. I think Max will win. I think Piastri will continue his streak of doing well, so he'll probably finish P2.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know. You know what? I think Antonelli is going to come back from this race.
Podium?
I think he's going to podium.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
He's going to be really upset with how he did at Bahrain. I don't know if he knows this track.
I don't think he's raced here.
I think you're right. I'm going to stick with it. I think he'll be top 3.
Nice. That's a pretty good prediction. Okay, so we have our top 3s locked down. The lead rookie. Who do you think? Obviously, okay, Kimi. I guess. Yeah, for you. I think Ollie will be the lead rookie. I think he knows his track the best. I mean, he did really well here last year in a car. He did in a Ferrari. I know it's very different. He's in a Haas.
Sure.
I think that'll serve him really well. He's a little older than Kimi. He knows his track. He's finished here before amongst top runners. I think he'll just continue to do really solid at this track, and I think it'll be the most comfortable race we've seen him in. It'll be his highest finish of his career. Yeah, that's my prediction.
That's a good one. All right. Well, since we're doing, good drivers, who do you think is going to be your back marker?
I don't want to go with the obvious Lance Stroll, Liam Lawson.
Yeah, but they're just going to be bad to begin with.
Yeah. I really don't. Crazy prediction. I don't think Lewis Hamilton makes it to Q3.
Okay.
I think Lewis Hamilton, he's really good, obviously. I think he is struggling majorly with his Ferrari, and just it is not suited to his driving style. I think he will really struggle here. So I don't think, if he finishes in the points, I think he'll be last in the points, 10-9.
Okay.
Which, in a Ferrari, you should be qualifying or finishing P5 up. Because, you're a 7-time world champion. You're in a Ferrari.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. There shouldn't be no exceptions. Same should go for Mercedes or Red Bull or McLaren. All these historic teams, you have to finish good. You can't be out of top 10.
No, I agree.
So I think that's my back marker. It won't necessarily be the worst driver. It'll be the most disappointing.
Yeah. I'm kind of inclined to say Carlos Sainz. I don't know what's drawing me towards him. He didn't race there last year, which probably won't affect it too much.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, don't think he's going to do well.
Okay. I mean, this year's been really poor for form for him. I think he's had 1 point finish.
Yeah, very inconsistent.
Very inconsistent. Not the level we know him to be at. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, if it's just growing pains with the team, not knowing the car super well, trying to get comfortable with new environment, new whatever. But I could see that definitely being one of the reasons, or one of the back markers in our minds. But obviously Lance Stroll, Liam Lawson will be P2, P20, P19.
Right.
Don't even have to discuss that. We just know that.
That one should be just as assuming as a good race. Whenever we say we want a good race, assuming Oscar Piastri up there is assumed, and then
Lance Stroll,
those two at the bottom.
Yeah, that to us is the definition of a good race.
Yes.
Other signifiers of a good race would be a safety car.
Yes.
I think it's a good signifier of a race.
Sometimes a red flag is pretty cool.
Sometimes. Well, if everyone's okay.
Yeah.
If there's a red flag and someone's hurt, not good. Bad race.
Bad race.
Never want that. Bad race. But sometimes you can put one out.
Yeah. Unless it's like a rain red flag.
Yeah, that's just boring. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to Spa 2021 again. 2020. It rained for like 3 hours.
Oh, what was that Russian guy's name? Didn't he get the fastest lap there?
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah.
The Russian guy? Yeah, I remember who. Yep.
His nickname was like...
Kvyat?
No. That was... He was racing for Haas.
Oh.
And like his nickname was something with spin in it, because he would always spin the car.
It's not Nicholas Latifi.
I can't remember his name at all.
The GOAT, Nicholas Latifi.
That's too bad, dude. That's too bad he's gone.
These new gen fans don't understand the joy of seeing Nicholas Latifi crash. And you're like, all right, race just got interesting. That was the joy of those weekends.
They kind of got a little taste of Logan Sargent doing it.
A little bit. It wasn't as consistent, though. He kind of turned it on and, actually was able to race.
Sometimes,
which is good.
Yeah.
A little disappointing.
Oh, did you ever see the clip of Nicholas Latifi, completely taking a wrong turn in the track?
Yes. And then blaming somebody? Yes, I've seen that.
I think he blamed the car.
I think so. Hilarious. Hilarious guy.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
We need more just dumb people in the sport.
We need some, really bad paid drivers.
Please. We already have one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
He's just not bad enough.
True, he could be worse.
He could be worse.
He could be much worse. But that is all the time we have for today's episode. A little bit of a shorter episode. Next week we'll have jam-packed full of stuff. There'll be a lot of events happening. Hopefully with some exciting news. Oh my gosh, I'm stumbling. I'm not nervous. I don't know why my brain isn't working.
No, you're nervous.
Yeah, you just make me nervous, Hunter.
It's the way I stare.
There you go.
It's got to be it.
The fluoride's there. Oh. But next weekend. Not next weekend. What am I saying? You finish the show, I guess. I'm struggling over here.
Well, next weekend we will have Saudi Arabia.
True.
So we'll have a jam-packed show on Tuesday.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
We're going to do our best to find out when we can get together and do the online show. Usually, what's your thinking before the race?
I would like to have if we can, before qualifying.
Right.
And if we cannot, qualify in a race. So,
okay.
If everything works out according to plan, we will have an online-only episode on our Spotify and YouTube, which you can find just by looking up The Pit Lane Radio Show or just The Pit Lane. It is there. It is also in our socials. If you go to our socials, look at the link in the bio. It has all the links for everything. Go support us. Go follow us. It's been really heartwarming seeing the amount of listens and plays that these episodes have gotten. Not in the hundreds or tens of thousands or even thousands. I don't care if nobody listens. It's just, I like doing it. It's just fun.
It is fun.
So, everything goes according to plan. Saturday afternoon, we'll have an online-only episode go out for y'all. Tune into that. It'll be exciting. We'll try and start it as an actual series.
That one will have video, right?
That is the hope.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
No promises.
Yeah.
I've learned my